like to call this March meeting of the RSU 25 School Board to order. Would you please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I wasn't kidding. All right, next we've got attendance roll call.
Mr. Foster.
I am here.
Mr. Burgess.
Here.
Mrs. Foster.
Here.
Mr. Frazier.
Here.
Mr. Nealon.
Here.
Mr. Wentworth is excused. Mr. Goff.
Here.
And Ms. Atherton down.
Here.
This is the time for public participation. If you are here and would like to publicly participate, you can come up and join us behind our wonderful crystal podium. If you are at home and would like to publicly participate, you can email with public comment at rsU25.org, or you can phone in for public comment at 307-8099. And seeing as how we don't have anyone here, we will move on to adjustments to the agenda.
I have no adjustments to the agenda.
All right, next we have approval of minutes. I would look for a motion to approve the February 25th regular meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
February 25th.
All right, we've got multiple motions and multiple seconds. Choose whoever you would like.
Gotcha.
And we will vote to approve the minutes. That is unanimous. Thank you. Next we have communications and correspondence.
I have no communications or correspondence for this month.
Doing well. Next we've got superintendent's report.
So you have my report. I guess the only thing I will highlight is you saw we had lots of great successes from our students and our staff for this month. So, I think it's, again, sometimes we sound like a broken record, and I think we take for granted all of the great things that happen just because they happen so often here. But to have robotics, win their first two competitions, to have our two jazz combos, take a gold and a bronze in the competition. We had Skills USA, so we'll be having those results. I think we had 2 golds and a bronze.
Yep, two goals, 3 bronze.
3 bronze, thank
bronze,
you. And then again, what I told you, Mr. Boyd being recognized by the Pulp and Paper Foundation. So there's just so many great things happening to school, and it's kind of what we consider March to be the down month in terms of there doesn't seem to be a lot going on. We had a lot going on, and a lot of great things. So that's my report.
Josh, this came in after, but we do have 3 teachers in our district that are semi-finalists for Hancock County Teacher of the Year.
Whoa.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Very exciting. The board's chair report. I am happy to report out that I was able to attend Skills USA closing ceremonies, which was a really exciting thing for those kids. I did not anticipate it to be how it was. They put on a huge spectacle show down at the Bangor Civic Center. It was really quite impressive. I also would like to remind you that the girls' cheer is having a dinner on Wednesday, and they will be having their big competition this weekend down in Massachusetts, and we wish them all well. That is my chair report. Next we have curriculum.
Okay. We met, and it was directly in competition with the negotiations. So it was a very small meeting, very short meeting. We got to see the draft health curriculum that has been drafted for RSU 25 K through 12 based on the main learning results, which were updated in 2022. So that is something that we looked at, and we also looked at our truancy, chronic absenteeism, and daily average attendance for all the schools, and kind of really looking at how we're doing. Illnesses have kind of left us not looking so great, but we can only probably go up from here, so that's the positive on that one.
Any questions for curriculum?
Is the health curriculum coming up tonight, or is it waiting, it needs a little more time, or?
No, it doesn't need any time, but there were literally like 4 of us in the meeting. So there was no rush on it. We were kind of waiting to see if there was gonna be any time for anyone that wanted to see it on their own to see it and give feedback. And because we knew we could do it this meeting or
It
next.
just needs to be in place before next.
And with the budget and the negotiations going on, there's a lot. But no, it's good, and actually it's really, one of the most exciting things is it's gonna include like a newsletter that's sort of like the weekly readers, but for health, which is nice because
Nice.
it's kind of ever changing and evolving and always current and very interactive and not on a computer, just, I mean, you know, for change, so it's kind of nice.
Nice, good.
Finance committee met before this meeting. We discussed the budget to actual by cost center. We're in a good position in all of the spots. We also discussed the senior food and the regular food. Senior food actually was able to pull profit. Very minuscule, but there, so the changes that they're making are helping to bring them to that critical break-even point that they need. And the regular food is, well, what do we, I can't remember, was it 50 or 60? We're 50 under at the current moment. So some of those are because of repairs that we weren't anticipating, and we may need to move some items into maintenance out of food service so that we can stay within the cost of that 60,000 that we had budgeted for. Any questions on finance? All right, policy.
Policy committee is still on hiatus due to negotiations and budget season, and but as things come up, we'll address them as needed.
I think we targeted a May meeting at the
Yeah.
latest, sooner if necessary.
Great. Facilities.
I'm filling in for Dan, and we covered a lot of area on facilities. First of all, the tractor was put to use many, many times this winter. The town gave us an 8, want to let you know, it's not just sitting idle.
We're getting our money's worth. Huh?
Yes, the town gave us an 8-foot snow pusher that they did not use, and that's perfect. And the tractor was used many times to move back snowbanks, and I have a snow pusher, and they do work quite well. And Anthony's looking into, I can't remember what it's called, it's like a blade that goes on it. So if you tip it down, you can go right up to a building and back drag. And they're not very expensive. I'm surprised this one didn't have it. I use mine all the time, it's great. He talked about replacement of windows. He said if we wanted to replace all the windows at the Miles Lane School all at once, there's 57 of them, it would be $173,000. He budgeted $20,000. So it means like, okay, we're gonna do a few. And we understood that we'd be doing a few each year. Same thing for the high school. It would cost about $39,000 to do all of them, and he also budgeted $20,000. So he's saying, should we take the 20, 40,000 and do all of the high school and get that done with? Or do what we can on each school? That hasn't been decided yet. I think that's really up to Anthony. He's had a couple of inspections this month. The MSMA, which is the Maine School Management Association, which we get our insurance from, they come and do an inspection, which there are no fines or penalties and everything. And there were a lot of things, but very easy fixes, like some broken outlets, just the cover was broken. Some items in classrooms that were too close to the heater. If you have shelves, oops, we go right here. Something on top of the shelf in classrooms is a no-no because it can fall off. Items blocking an egress. An example was the stage at the high school. There's 2 ways to go down off the stage, and you know, probably some kids just moving things around, just moved it in front of one of the entrances. So, I mean, that's an easy fix. You can move it away. Lamps. Teachers aren't allowed to have lamps from home in their classrooms with extension cords and everything. So those are all easy fixes. And then the Department of Labor came in and did an inspection. This is a little bit more, this is different because they will fine you. We did get fined, but we have a chance, 15 days, I think the 21st is the end of the 15th day, to rectify as many of them as we can, and then the fine comes off. And a lot of them are easy, also easy fixes. And I know that some of them is just like paperwork, documentations. Like we've trained somebody to use the Genie, the lift, but we didn't have any documentation that they've been trained. So it's kind of like, you know, I'm not putting anything on the bus, but he says, I own that one. He said, they're just,
And it should be an easy template type thing
yes,
that,
and he's working on all of those now, all the documentations that need to be done. Because in the last 3 years, we've had 3 different, or maybe let's say 4 years, we've had 3 different facilities. We had Gary Moulton, he got done, then Wayne Mishu came in for 1.5 years, and Anthony just finished, I think he's been 2. So paperwork, it happens. So it was like a $3,450 fine, but a lot of that will be taken off. I'm not sure, but he said even that really, believe it or not, isn't as bad as it could be. He said that's very common. That's it, facilities. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.
I did have a question. So you talked about replacing some windows at the high school.
Yes.
Is that because of, are they worn out or are they? It doesn't seem like it was that long ago when we.
I know.
So the science, if you remember the science wing,
Yeah.
those windows were not touched.
So it's in that end, it's
It's in-
not
right.
anything that's going bad with the windows that we put in
Correct.
on the rebuild.
Yeah, it's all the science wing from that, so 1990.
Yep, thank you.
And that's why the
Miles-
total renovation to the high school number was so much lower than the total renovation. to
Right.
the middle school.
And the Miles Lane School, a lot of them are crank out windows. And kids are always paying attention to where they're going with them outside. We don't want them, you know, doing a header into a window. So we may look into double hung and things like that.
Yep.
A lot safer. Some sliders and when they're appropriate. So Anthony's looking into all of that. He's very safety cautious.
Any other questions?
Does he have a timeline of filling in some of those giant crater pothole things that are like at the middle school?
The town usually has been very good. They'll just come up and do it sometimes, but I can't answer.
Yeah, so it depends on, sometimes we'll have someone come in and do like a cold patch for that. Obviously, we don't have any big full paving resurfacing plans because the price tag on a full resurface. The town has been very good about having us come up, coming up and helping us out with that, so.
I might wanna drive by the middle school, like a little bus area there where you just kind
Oh,
of
there's
disappear
some-
into the thing and then come back out.
Oh, there's some big ones everywhere, not just around the
Yeah.
schools, everywhere, yeah.
Any other questions? HCTC.
Oh, I'm up again.
There you go.
Between Mr. Ward's report and what Dr. Phipps said, we had 2 gold medalists and 3 bronze medalists. I have their names, but I think if you read Mr. Ward's report, he listed the people that did. Overall, HCTC had 20 gold medals, 5 silvers, and 6 bronze. So it was a good show. We didn't quite have as many kids overall at the, forget what it's called, but, yeah, Skills USA, I went blank there, as we've had in the past, but we still had a good showing. Bill Tracy went over, they're doing applications now for next year, and the numbers change constantly. You know, sometimes 2 people come, they want to take a course together, and then one of them backs out, you know, and says, well, my friend's not going, I'm not going. Some courses have more than enough people to fill them. We're gonna have around 50 students again from Bucksport going, right around that number. But our biggest discussion was about cybersecurity. The numbers are low. The lady that teaches it is retiring, and trying to find somebody to fill that is very, very difficult because they can make so much more money in the private sector with cybersecurity than they can teaching it at HCTC. And also the cost of the software. We've looked into a couple of different types that they use for this is very expensive. So we're thinking of doing away with it. Unfortunately, we have about 6 students that will be in their 2nd year, and they need this to graduate. They need those credits. So they're gonna work on how they can meet their needs, and these kids can still have those credits from cybersecurity. I'm surprised because I thought that would be, that would fill up, but it didn't. We have about 37 so far, first-year students from Bucksport, but that'll change. It always does. You have any, that's about all we talked about. Questions?
Did they talk about the kids wanting to come here to the welding?
The numbers are up, yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we've
oh
got a
yeah, the
solid,
numbers, oh, that's
got a
solid.
solid number.
Yes, that's solid. He only gave us the numbers for first year, and I think in the welding, well, he only gave me Bucksport's kids, there's 4 from Bucksport for first year, but no, our numbers are solid for the welding program.
I think we're full at 18 next year.
We're full. We just filled the last slot.
We did, okay.
Any other questions for HCPC? All right, we have no old business. Under new business, we have some resignations and retirements.
So we have one resignation, which is a name that we just approved a couple months ago for the JV softball position. Coach Savage was offered a varsity position that opened up in between us nominating him and accepting him. So he took it, which is closer to where he lives. So he has resigned, but we do have someone as a replacement that we're reporting and we're moving forward.
Great. I would look for a motion to accept the resignation.
Well, I move that we accept Michael Savage's resignation.
In a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Next, we have nominations.
So we have 2 support personnel for nominations. The first one is Lisa Theoritis for our school nurse. We were very happy to be able to find someone with such a vast school nursing background in particular, especially partway through the school year. So this was a very good find for us. And then we also have Jennifer Tarian, who you may know, who is here with us. And she will be filling the Community Outreach and Aspirations Coordinator position, and that is the new position that the board voted in a few months ago. And then we have, as I mentioned, a nomination for this, just voted it, resignation, Lester Cowan for BHS JV softball. And then we have Megan Jelson for robotics volunteer and Katie Littlefield for BMS wrestling volunteer.
I will look for a motion to approve all of the nominees as a block.
Second? So moved.
So moved. Second.
We got a motion and a second. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. We have no first reading of policy. We have no second reading of policy. We have administrator reports from both leaders.
Feel free to get up and stretch if you need to.
Nicole, do you need the, from you?
Yes, Jim said he would come out if I needed him. Later.
Shut up, I get it. Why everybody
So
goes,
screen number. Years ago, they built a dialysis center, and they didn't want to put any window shades in. The young guy got sun in the back of his head, they had to put shades on. Because in the winter, you know, the sun's so low.
Yes. Okay, so you guys know that I work with 4 and 5-year-olds, so I'm like, I told Josh my idea of like presenting a book. Excuse me, so for those of you who aren't familiar with, most of you probably know Eric Carle, but he wrote a book called The House for Hermit Crab, and it's about this hermit crab going through a whole year of life and how he outgrows his shell and he needs a new shell, but he learned some life lessons along the way and made some new friends and things like that. So last year at the kindergarten celebration, I wrote a book for the kindergarten kids to kind of remind them of all the stuff they did over the year. And so rather than reinventing the wheel, I love Canva, I hope it stays free for educators forever. But anyway, I kind of repurposed that book to kind of tell you what happens at Jewett. So I just titled it A School for Littles, G.H. Jewett School. So, building community, and please forgive me, I tried to rhyme, and the English teachers in here. I made it rhyme, but like the rhythm and all that might not be good. But children, like hermit crabs, begin their educational journey trying to get comfortable in their new protective shells, navigating an unfamiliar environment with youthful exuberance as caring adults foster a sense of community in which to dwell. And these are some really happy kids right there. And there's my happy little hermit crab. And as you can see, the hermit crab will be getting new friends and learning new skills, that kind of thing. Social emotional learning and relationships. As Jewett welcomed 100 4- and 5-year-olds, they entered with various personalities and needs. Routines, consistency, and patience are the trademarks of a team capable of sowing social relationship seeds. See, I'm not doing so bad, am I, Darcy?
I like it.
PBIS, as you remember, is positive behavior and intervention supports. Okay. As a precursor for success, expectations and positive behaviors are explicitly taught, modeled, and rehearsed to encourage confidence and beneficial choices. Interventions and incentives can be dispersed. So this is what a line should look like. It doesn't always look like that with 5-year-olds, I'm just saying, I got lucky. And then we talk about the golden ticket store. Kids earn the golden tickets at Miles Lane as well. Beth, I don't know if they do that in middle school too. And so once a week, Miss Alicia will go around and they can buy Bucky for the whole day and that kind of thing. And you can see this child's like counting out her tickets so she knows how to spend them. So they're learning a little bit about economy. Curriculum. With the massive efforts of our curriculum committees, academic offerings are comprehensive and transparent. Our team continuously reviews the standards and brainstorm ideas, integrating subjects to ensure a framework for learning achievement. I didn't have pictures for this, so we have our lovely curriculum director, and Jen, is she still? Oh, did she leave? Yeah. This was a break that they had.
This was not a curriculum we were teaching.
Yeah, it was a teacher, so it was a break to help bring me up. We had a staff meeting where we were remembering what it's like to be kids and playing, what is that called? What's it called? And what was really interesting is that we had some veteran people, and we had some young teachers, and we had to teach Cat's Cradle because he didn't know it. And I'm like, okay, I'm really dating myself. Anyway.
That doesn't taught anymore.
Christina worked so hard, I wanted them to see that you take a break once in a while, Christina.
I think I was there to give a presentation on something else and you roped me into that. And my fingers were all tangled up.
Yeah.
Literally.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
Well played.
This is my favorite slide. Experiential learning. From hands-on learning to unstructured play, students gain real-world knowledge and essential skills. Opportunities to experiment, question, challenge, or wonder, a sense of ownership of one's own learning it instills. So, this is our march.
How did that whale get so far from the ocean?
Yeah, right? So on March 5th, we actually had a woman, what's her name, Jessica Wooden, reached out to me and Christina. She worked in the field of marine biology, and she decided that she wanted to kind of go out on her own. She felt she could do more by going into classroom. She invested in this inflatable whale. As you can see, it's about 40 feet long, and with the flippers, it was like 20 feet wide. So
Is that the real size?
yeah. And this is actually modeled after an actual humpback whale that was named Chunk because if you look at the dorsal fin, it had a chunk out of its dorsal fin. So that's how it got its name. So that's what it's modeled after. And I should have got a picture of the kids when they walked in to see this. I mean, this takes up half the gym. And then right here, you can see there was like an airlock where the kids would go through, and then they'd have to go through another door, and they could, right here, and they could go inside of it. And it had like all the organs. And so I'm sure Maria came home talking about that, right? I got to go inside a big whale. Yeah. So that was.
Oh, yeah, she loved it.
That was the first week of March, and then the second week of March, we had Sweet Cheats come over. They showed kids how to make cupcakes. That was through Aspire. They had a ball with that and ruined their lunch, but whatever. And then over here also, Dr. Seuss Week was the first week of March, and they made oobleck. So
Nicole, did anybody ever read Bert Dow Deepwater Man after they went to whale? Are you
No.
familiar with that?
I've heard of it, but I don't
He
recall.
gets swallowed by a whale and he uses paint and everything inside the stomach to make the whale sick and then.
I don't know if I want to read that to Kimberly.
Oh, no. Robert McCluskey is wonderful.
The other thing, I don't know if any of you saw it, but literally like a week or two before this whale got here, there was that thing all over social media
Yeah,
about
about the,
the kayaker that got swallowed by a whale and then spit back out. And all I kept worrying about was that the kids would know about that and like freak out. And we only had like 2 kids out of all of the 100 kids that were like, get me out of here and wanted to get out.
But now if they do hear their story, this experiential learning activity will actually make them understand how that's possible.
Yeah.
Because when you think about a whale, I don't think it's 40 by 20 feet, but I'm sure it is. And looking at that picture, it's taking up your entire gymnasium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Josh and Christina got there when she was blowing it up.
Yeah, we get to go inside.
Yeah, they got to tour it too, so. And that's definitely, this is the age group, okay, that we want to do the experiential learning. And when you can, like, the kids were just so engaged, no behaviors, they just want to be there having fun. I didn't put any pictures because I don't have any yet, but going along with experiential learning and being a busy month of March, I have my own evaporator and do maple syrup. So they're starting to learn a little bit about that. We're gonna go on a nature walk actually tomorrow, Mrs. Chafee's class and I, to see where they've capped trees that grade wing 1 does. And then hopefully we'll go visit the evaporator they have. But I'm also going to bring in some sap for them to taste, and then maybe, I don't make a ton of maple syrup, so I don't know about a pancake breakfast, but anyway, it kind of prepares them for when they go up to Miles Lane and do that stuff. And I don't know if I need school board approval, but we do have some maples at Jewett. Just saying, I'd like to tap a couple of them next year.
We didn't approve before, did we? I don't think we have anything to do with.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Who taps what?
it's on the record.
I think it's the town that owns it too. I don't think it's us.
So they won't say anything if I tap a couple trees.
No, there's a bunch on the trail. I walked it the other day.
Yeah, but around Jewett, there's probably 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
RSU 25 partnerships, whether it be reading with book buddies from Miles Lane, visiting the Applied Learning Lab, or listening to high school science students explain marine communities, interacting with kids from other schools within our district provides unique chances to build long-lasting friendships and unity. So this was our, I mentioned it in a board report, in January probably, right before Christmas break. The kindergartners came up to, what's Katie's last name? Yeah, Katie Hunter's marine science class. And they were getting graded on presenting to the kids, and they got to see the stuff in the touch tank and touch some of the creatures, and a couple of starfish lost their arms, which was a little sad. And then we have book buddies with Miles Lane. So this is a 4th grade group reading with Mrs. Harriman's kindergarten. Children's Fair. I'm always talking about the Children's Fair in the spring. Each spring, along with many local, county, and state partners, we gather to share information to young families and their tots. Topics such as school readiness, nutrition, and financial planning go along with collecting treasures and discovering local resources and hotspots. So this is just a shameless plug, April 5th, come on to Jewett, so you can meet some young families. And I just checked before I came here, I have probably about 25 partners from the local communities and whatever that come and set up shop and show all the parents all the things that they have to offer. And then finally to MLS and beyond, abilities improve, friendships blossom, but the shell is getting a bit tight as the 2-year journey of learning at Jewett passes by at lightning speed. Their bodies have grown, as well as their independence and confidence. So in any new shell, our littles are equipped with the best foundation to succeed. And I say that because I really, really do embrace my job of building them to be future leaders, future, bucks, golden bucks. And so that's where it starts. Early intervention, kindergarten, get them off on the right foot so that they'll be productive members of our district community. And this is a Dr. Seuss cake that Mrs. Chafee purchased for her class. She did not order it that way. It was Dr. Seuss week. But her class, as part of PBIS, in her classroom, the kids could earn like a whole class incentive, and they wanted a cake. They wanted to earn cake. And it just happened to be they earned it, and it was during Dr. Seuss week, so she got them a Dr. Seuss cake that said, "Oh, the places you'll go," which, as you know, is one of the best books to read to little guys. So, any questions? Now I know a little bit about hermit crabs. And I thought that it was appropriate that Kathy and I go at the same time because we're the bookends of the district.
That's great.
And that was something, I apologize, Kathy, didn't say anything about the partnership I have with her, but we've been working to try to do more parent education kinds of things. So as we all know, these kids are coming in with a lot of different needs and everything, and it's educating the parents that will probably help to improve that. So we're working together to do our best. Right? Yours, Kathy.
Great, thank you.
I went old school. I didn't even upload this. But Nicole inspired me. I was trying to figure out, what do I do? We don't have teams, we don't have sports, our students don't even like being on camera, neither do our staff. So, as a matter of fact, everything was done except the pictures, and I was still trying to get them out of folks this afternoon. So, when Nicole said she was gonna do a book, I got inspired. And I wrote my own. And I thought if I wanted you to know anything, it would be our student stories. And the best thing I can ever remember is my dad reading to me at night. I hopefully don't put you all to sleep, but this is our stories. Angie is 24 and single. She took over caring for her physically disabled mom and grandmother when her father died. Soon Angie had no time left for her own education and stopped attending in her junior year. Her brothers are in school full-time now and old enough to help with chores. An honor student when she was in high school, Angie still dreams of going to college. She heard adult education has flexible hours and works around doctor's appointments and other schedules. John is 38 and lived with his wife, 2 children, and his aging parents. He moved to Bucksport as a teen, but he had dropped out of school in the 6th grade, partly because he struggled to relate to the other children. Some of his teachers cringed when he asked questions. He began to think of and describe himself as dumb and couldn't see the point in continuing his education. His mom always told him it was because he was very smart for his age, but he thought she was just being nice and trying to make him feel better. He's been very lucky with work, provides well for his family. He wants to be a good role model for his children, but he's afraid he really might be as dumb as he thinks he is. Mom heard adult education as assessment tests and privacy rules that could settle the question and no one would need to know. If possible, John would like to get his diploma before his children discovered he never graduated. Millie just turned 18 and moved in with her boyfriend in Bucksport. He has a job and encourages her to stay in school. Millie planned to transfer to Bucksport High School and complete her diploma. They just hadn't planned on a high-risk pregnancy and morning sickness that seemed to last all day. Millie's best friend told her adult education has flexible hours, is open year-round, and she can work on the days, and can work around the days she is too ill to come in. She can also make up lost time during the summer. Sally dropped out with only 2 credits left to graduate about 8 years ago. She really doesn't know why she did it and regrets it to this day. She enrolled 6 times over the last 10 years, but family obligations always seem to pop up. This time, the kids are all in school, her husband is well and back to work, and grandparents are willing to babysit. Bob and his stepfather fight all the time. Bob's parents keep him home from school to help around the house, so he has missed many school days. When Bob turned 18, he came home to find a backpack on the doorstep and the locks changed, kicked out. He tried to enlist, but the recruiter told Bob that all branches of the military require a diploma now. The recruiter gave him a conditional enlistment with a boot camp deadline to meet and a referral to adult education. Meg, Owen, Colby, Allen, and Jesse are all older, well-established graduates of Bucksport High School. Each one is either up for promotion, supervisors, or self-employed, but lack math and/or technology skills to retain their success. Owen has been feeling very frustrated and fought with his family. He hid the fact he had actually never graduated until DHHS added enrolling in adult education as a condition to get his son back. The 5 friends were talking at breakfast one morning when Joe and Frank stopped by their table. Joe shared how adult education helped with tutoring, even though he already has a diploma. Joe said he had always been a measure once and cut twice kind of guy. Well, cut 3 or 4 times if he was really being honest. Adult education helped him as part of a rapid response team put in place to assist laid-off mill workers. The math instructor helped him brush up on his math skills and show him how he could use geometry to measure and cut just once. Joe was able to score high enough on an AccuPlacer to enroll in college and obtain the additional education he needed to be successful in his second career as a carpenter. Frank told him he used to fit pipes at the mill, but had gotten in before a diploma was required. He spent most of his free time the last few years before the mill closed, working and taking care of his elderly mom before she died. Frank hadn't thought he might be good at working in healthcare, but that is what the Adult Education Workforce Inventory Assessment showed. Working with his academic advisor, Frank decided that he would like to enroll in a CNA program while he was working on his diploma. He was surprised how much he enjoyed the class. He completed in record time and was able to get back to work within just a few months. Technology knowledge is becoming a necessity for employment, and competition for free post-secondary programs is high. Many of these programs are accelerated, fast-paced programs with employers waiting to take their pick. Students have to be comfortable with their learning to engage in these offerings, but face fierce competition for work without them. There is many reasons for coming to adult education as there are students. What is at the heart of a successful adult education story? Those students that bring themselves through our doors are statistically more likely to succeed than those who are required or pushed by family to be here. They have to want it for themselves and have an understanding of the value this second opportunity to graduate brings to their lives. Not everyone makes it the first time. It is common for some students to stop out and re-enroll multiple times. I have changed names and genders in my examples to protect students' privacy, but all of the stories are true of students beginning with us. Want to know how they all turned out? Well, Angie received high enough marks in HiSET to enter college and is doing well. She hopes to open her own business after she gets her degree. John's school did not have a gifted and talented program as our district does. No one explained that he is indeed academically gifted. John needed tutoring in the technology and how to access the exam and confidence building. He completed the series of HiSET exams with a perfect score, and his mom got to say, "I told you so," and she did. Millie was determined to obtain her diploma before the baby came. I gotta tell you, she scared this examiner half to death when she announced she'd been in labor for at least an hour before sitting down to take that last exam. I almost didn't let her do it. But Millie delivered a healthy baby just 3 hours after she obtained her diploma. Sally only had 2 credits to complete to finish her diploma with adult education. She took 10 years, but she did it. She had many family obligations and was not able to graduate. I can tell you she put her family above her own graduation. Her husband came in secretly a few weeks later to pick up a cake that we had frozen and arranged for a surprise celebration with all the family that she had been helping over the years. Owen was making such good progress, he regained custody of his son early. He gained the technology and math skills he needed for his business to improve. He stopped out just before he was ready to test for his diploma because work was too busy for him to continue. Still a success in many ways, but it is likely that Owen will need to come back in the future to complete his diploma. Bob found a place to stay and worked hard. He was able to pass his HiSET in just a few months. He made the second boot camp deadline and is doing exceptionally well. He has returned to the area as a reservist and is attending a local college. Meg was able to achieve an entrance score high enough to make it into the math class required for her promotion at work. She passed the class and has moved into the new position. Colby and Jesse retained their supervisory positions with their increased technology skills and math brush up. With just a little tutoring, they used their years of experience to continue growing in their field on their own. Alan gained the confidence and beginning skills he needed to take a self-paced online class for his business. He has quickly mastered the program and is giving his competitors a run for his money. These are just a few of our students. Whether or not a student graduates, everyone leaves having learned a little more than when they arrived. They are better able to assist children with homework, are new or better informed voters, are able to give back to the community that supported them. Those who graduated and go on to post-secondary training and/or employment become new workers and tax-paying citizens. Upskilling workers leave with more confidence in themselves and their skills, stand just a little taller, and are well on their way to achieving their dreams. But make no mistake, we couldn't do it without you. Our students and staff send their heartfelt thanks to our superintendent, school board, and fellow community members for supporting our program and providing the additional opportunity for our students to succeed. That was an overwhelming message that even though they're not comfortable being in formal situations, they don't like being up on stages, they really are very grateful for this second chance. And I did want to just point out our staff and volunteers. If you look at the inside of the first page, we start with Christina Early, who's our Learning Center instructor, who has English, science, social studies certifications, as well as being our English as a second language instructor. And she came to us over 25 years ago from Switzerland and went through her own citizenship process. Tina Monreal, who came to us taking my position as the night secretary, after she took a number of years off to be home with her children. And she filled in for an instructor on an emergency basis. And we discovered that she had a 4-year degree in sports management with a heavy concentration in teaching. And turns out she's a fantastic program coordinator secretary. She's an even better teacher. And in just a few classes, we were able to get her certified in math. And she has years of technology behind her. Myself, I'll get back to that in a minute. Next on the other side is my daughter, who is an alumni of Bucksport High School. And she is a teacher in her own right now, teaching Spanish, and she also holds a social studies certificate. She comes back frequently and volunteers for us every graduation. Doesn't take orders very well. She tends to buck like charity. And then our med instructor, Tina Williams, she comes to us with 11 years of college teaching, and she's been teaching on a grant for us. Our newest night secretary, taking Tina's place, is Ginger Kegley, and we are not quite sure where Ginger's specialty lies, but she's leaning towards special ed, I think. And that is one thing, our secretaries leave us quite frequently, but they're upskilling to get full-time jobs, and we're really proud of them. On the back is our volunteers, and they willingly do this. I see Natasha and Cody Monreal. Natasha's off in college, so he's working on his own now. Couple of pictures they probably wish we hadn't taken. They've been very active in community events with us, graduation, whenever we need some help. And Ginger's kids are on the bottom, and they've been all helping us this year as new volunteers. And then my own story, and I'm probably gonna tear up a little bit here, but 3 days is what it took for me to go from having everything to having very little. My husband passed away 21 years ago, and on the second day of bereavement, my company called me and insisted that I come to work so that they can announce they had been sold and we had all lost our jobs. And the only way I was going to keep mine is if I agreed to immediately transfer to a very large out-of-state city with a 14-year-old that just lost her dad, all her family being here in Maine, and I was going to have to do it the next morning before my husband's funeral. So of course I said no. So that is how I wound up in adult ed. I had been part of an apprenticeship program, and as part of the no-compete clause, they kept all of our certifications and the education they paid for, and we were not allowed to take any of that with us. So I was faced this time of year going out against new university graduates with nothing to show but a high school diploma. So I re-enrolled in college through the ITB program in adult ed, and was blessed that I had someone to show me how to do all the technology and things. My work was very narrow, very specified, and I had a lot of skills to catch up on. And I started as a university work study student and wound up getting my degree and becoming the director. So it was a second career for me. And I really thank all of you for giving me that opportunity. It was I understood how the mill workers feel, let me tell you. It was part of a rapid response team that I received that additional education, and appreciate everything that you've been able to do for us. And we hopefully give back to the community in ways that you approve of. Any questions?
That was really good.
Yeah, thank you.
I got through it without crying, so. This second book is it's what they do with their Maine Adult Education Association advertising funds, one of the small things they do. And this goes out statewide, so I just wanted you to have it to look at and see where some of our money for that fee goes. Thank you.
Now, before we move on to item number 5, I'd like to jump to M, calendar and announcements. The curriculum committee will meet April 3rd.
Actually, it'll be the 10th, because that is conflicting with a school event on the 3rd.
In what
So
time?
we're moving it. We're gonna keep it at 6 PM,
6 PM,
Yeah.
still central?
What about Aspire?
central office. Aspire is going to do, she's not here. They're gonna skip that month, I believe, because
Yes,
there's gonna be a party of some sort that will be announced,
Yes.
maybe?
I like parties. Yeah.
Instead of a meeting, and then we'll have a meeting the next month.
I like parties.
Okay.
So no meetings on April.
If you wanna just put tentatively on your calendar, May 6th, and I will send this out in an email, but at the end of every Aspire initiative, they kind of do a celebration of it, and so we're looking at different ways. May 6th is the, I had that day right, Christine, that was the,
Yeah.
so.
That's it.
But I'll-
Yeah, that's still tentative, but yeah.
Policy Committee will not meet. Finance Committee, April 15th, 5:30 here. School Board, April 15th, 6 o'clock here. Facilities Committee, April 10th, 4 o'clock, Plain Auditorium. And Aspire Committee is tentative.
I think that's gonna be a.
Sorry, that's gonna be in central office, yeah.
Central office, yeah.
Central office
Yep.
for facilities.
Facilities, thank you.
And Aspire is tentatively May 6th.
Yes, we will send out information on that. And then we said at the last budget workshop that we had that we were gonna look at setting that date tonight. Once we kind of had the, I know we're gonna be going into executive session for labor contracts, but we were kind of looking for negotiations to wrap up to do our next budget workshop. So just looking to you folks, whether you wanna look at next week or the week after for a budget workshop.
I'm good either, so. Any other thoughts?
Is there a way we can have a whole week off without meetings before we start back
Yep.
up?
I have no problem with it.
Let's do that.
Honestly, if
What
we
do you
wait
mean?
to that. we did
I have like
next
4
week.
a week, I'm exhausted, just like a week.
Yep,
Trust me, I know.
We
Right
can-
there with you.
I have no problem taking next week off, and we can look at the week after that.
31st.
We will still be a little bit, probably a few days away from getting our insurance numbers, which are gonna be, but we can at least go through the rest of it and present it.
We should have the max by that date.
Perfect.
So 31st.
So is that the Monday? I don't have my calendar.
That's the Monday.
Monday.
What time did
That
you
would
for
be
you?
Monday the 31st, 6 o'clock.
6, yeah.
6 p.m.
Did you wanna do that at the central office again?
Yes.
Or was it-
Central office was good place for that.
Okay.
6 o'clock, right?
I think it makes it easier on the staff, the cleaning staff here as well.
6 o'clock, central office.
So that's the next one.
That's the 31st.
That's the 31st.
All right.
Budget 6 Central office.
And we will move on to item number 5. Executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Section 4056D for discussion relative to labor contracts, and we will say goodbye to our administrator.
So that we enter executive session pursuant to MRSA Title I, Section 4056D for discussion of.
Give it to Amy right now.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Favor.
All right, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
from executive session, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Good night, everyone.
Good night.